My name is Linda McMahon. I'm the administrator for the SBA, that's a Small Business Administration, and I am here with Lieutenant Governor Dan Forrest, and we are in the Jacksonville Disaster Recovery Center. I'm here on behalf of SBA because part of what SBA does that so few folks are aware of is that when a disaster happens, SBA, just as we have done here, co-locates with FEMA and their disaster recovery centers. And we are in the process of not granting, but approving loans for folks who have suffered in the disaster. We try to help businesses, any size business with limits up to $2 million, homeowners, and also renters who have lost property, and that's up to $40,000. Home mortgages are up to $200,000. This is different from what SBA normally does with its loans, because normally we guarantee loans from lenders, but in this instance, SBA is the bank and we are the lender. So we want to really rapidly put through these requests, get people qualified, get money into their hands so that they can get their businesses back up and running, get back in their homes, and restore their property. The emotion of anyone whose business is suddenly they're out of business for a minute. And it depends on, whether it's going to be a small delay that's going to keep them closed, or whether their business has been destroyed, as you can imagine. So it's a question of how quickly they can get their money. They want to know how fast that can come in, what do they need to do, how do they get their business reopened. Because really, when you're out of business, whether you're part of the supply chain or whether you're providing a service to someone in a town or a community, it's very important to get back up and running, because you've not only stopped your own income, but more than likely the income of your employees. It's clearly very rewarding to be able to help with these low-interest, long-term loans. SBA doesn't provide grants for these damages, but we do provide low-interest, long-term loans. That helps people get back on their feet, get back in their homes, which is really very important. And if you think about small businesses are really the glue in the community. I mean, what name do you see on the back of the Little League shirt? It's always the small business owner. So they're the glue in the community. They get the communities revitalized, help restore the economy. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I mean, this is, it's critical, obviously, for Eastern North Carolina as well. I mean, you can't have all your small businesses in Eastern North Carolina stay down for any period of time. It's critical. And what SBA does is something that really nobody else does. A lot of times it takes a while for insurance companies to come in and assess damage, and sometimes business owners use this as a bridge until their insurance money can come in. So it means that they're going to be down for less time. And I want to say thanks to you guys, to all the media, for coming out to cover this, because this is really one of the most important things in the aftermath of a storm, is that you all continue to pay attention to the folks that are still hurting in North Carolina. And a lot of people don't know what the SBA does or how to even apply. And so just you doing stories on this and coming out to cover these things is really going to help a lot of folks in our state. So thank you for doing that. And people are already taking advantage of it all over Eastern North Carolina. So my encouragement to all of you is to keep up the good work.
Have you had the opportunity to see any businesses personally, either of you, and see what folks are really facing?
Yes, we just came from one. A little bit earlier, we were at a cabinet finishing company, and that was in Wilmington. And they suffered inventory loss. The machinery was down. Computers got fried. So it was just, they were down they'd been down for about 3 weeks. They were now back up and running. But it's interesting because their float time, if you will, was just about 3 to 3.5 weeks. So they were just under that when they got back up and running. So they were one of the lucky ones. But we've also been to other companies, who've been they're going to be out of business for a while, because all of their inventory, a pharmaceutical company, a pharmacy actually, all the drugs, everything were just damaged. Not only that, but the pharmacy itself suffered physical damage. So it's going to be quite a while before they could get back up and running. So. Those are the kinds of stories, that you do hear and see. And in fact, we're going to leave here and we're going to go to 2 businesses this afternoon.
Yeah, we've obviously been to places like Whiteville and Lumberton, where people have been flooded, not just for the first time, but the second time, sometimes the third time. And from Floyd through Matthew and now Florence. And so obviously it's a little more devastating when it's the third time that you've done this. And those folks are having to consider, what do they do with their business, whether they try to reopen or not, or whether they move. These things are big life long decisions. And so, I mean, you all know, covering Eastern North Carolina, we can't afford for any business to decide to pick up and move or decide not to reopen again. We need everybody up and running as fast as they can here, because these small businesses are the lifeblood of the community around here.
Let me give thanks to our FEMA partners who are here. We are co-located with FEMA in this facility, and FEMA does such great work handling the folks who are first coming through the door as they apply for FEMA grants. And FEMA is responsible for shelter, food, welfare. And so for those people that don't qualify for FEMA grants, they then are suggested to come and apply it to SBA for a loan. So a lot of those folks that come into SBA come through FEMA, whether or not they've been online or whether they have physically come here. And we're great, they're great partners, for us. We co-locate right after a storm has moved out as soon as we can get in, and it's a great partnership. Disaster loans are different than SBA's normal business loans. SBA's normal business loans are guaranteed by SBA, but given by lenders, regular banks or savings and loan institutions. And so the government guarantees a certain portion of those loans. In a disaster, SBA is actually the bank itself. We make the loan to the businesses and to the homeowners. We're here, we just have had folks come back from Puerto Rico that have been there for 11 months and they're still there. We still have about 300 people on the ground in Puerto Rico, so that's one example. But we want to make sure that we have helped and dealt with as many people as we can. We have an open application period. We set deadlines for the application periods. Quite frankly, we normally exceed them and people stay on here. But you can go to sba.gov, hit the disaster button, and that'll take you to the page at SBA that gives you all the information you need to know about how to apply for the loans.